Hello, hello.
Hi. Oh my goodness. Thank you for taking time to join this space.
hmm We're excited. We're actually starting a conversation about peace and what that means to us. And what did your mom say that I really resonate with?
Yeah. So my mom said I was asking her yesterday and she's just like, I was saying all this stuff, like peace is like accepting the things that we cannot control. And my mom was just like, peace is God's presence. And I was like, wow, it's not like something that you can do. It's a place where you go.
Mm. I almost think of that like because hearing that it resonated with me because I feel like anytime I felt a sense of peace is because I felt a sense of connectedness to
Mm.
all that is. And that's what I think of God as is this like connection to all that is. And
Mm.
I feel like anytime I have that time to experience that, or I let myself, because I feel like that's something that we have to, or we get to let ourselves experience, like this
Mm.
peace, is recognizing that there is a connection to everything, but also like that you're not alone in it.
Mm.
And I think that's like an innate understanding that often gets kind of muddled, at least, is recognizing that, like, oh, yes, we are all connected, but that also means that we're like not alone in this. This also means that we're co-creating. This also means that like we are not the sole creators either. And
Yeah.
it I don't know, it's like a surrendering energy. Energy
Absolutely.
of surrender.
Now that you mention it, it's like I love that you shared like we're not alone. So, and God is everywhere all the time. So God's presence is always there. And I was doing a live stream and I was sharing this and what also came up as I was meditating on it was, wow, it's really quiet. Peace is really
Mhm.
quiet, which makes sense. I
It's like
mean,
still
yeah.
almost, but like not in
So
a scary way.
yeah, it's
It
like
feels good.
I described it as when I was a kid, I've always swam competitively for since I was like 8, and I like to jump in the water. I like to like just jump in the water and just for a moment it's like stillness. I am weightless. It is quiet. I don't have any urge to breathe. I'm just like in this space where I feel like I'm in the womb again,
Mm.
and it just feels so serene. And I think what's important is like the fact that I don't feel the urge to breathe. I want to be in that state and just sit there for as long as I can.
Wow. Yeah. I resonate with that. And I think like that's interesting. It's so freeing. And there's been a lot of people in my life that have been just like I have been like called to the water this summer. They're like,
Mm.
I'm gonna get out and surf. Like, I'm gonna get out and snorkel. I'm gonna get out and like make sure I learn how to swim and all of these things. And like, so many people are like coming to me, be like, I have the same dream of like swimming with the whales and all of these things. Like, let's go hit the beach and like practice just like being in the water and with the water. And it's just really beautiful to see kind of that drive of action
Mm.
to like return to that sense of peace. I've even done like energy work sessions where there was a lot of peace that was found within certain aspects of people within water, like almost like
Oh.
in this like still submersion of
Mm.
like, and there's like no air, there's no like escaping the water or anything, there's no worry. It's just like the immersion in that space like you're describing is so
Wow.
like it's freeing because you're
Yes.
weightless almost.
Mm.
It's really beautiful.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because I realized a lot of people, especially when I started teaching like meditation. Just I was like, yo, guys, it's the coolest thing ever. You could just sit down, empty your mind, breathe.
So cool.
And I was just like, wow, you guys hear that? Nothing. And people actually would panic. They'd be like, am I breathing right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be alone with my thoughts because y'all don't understand how loud they can be. And
How
yeah, like
wild
the
they the
actual
places they
fear
go.
of the places they'll go. And I was like, it's kind of like culture shock is the best way. I was like, whoa, that's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. But underneath all of that is that uncomfy, like you've been mentioning and kind of bringing up, that peace is in the silence. It's kind of in a place where you're not trapped, but you're enclosed, and you're fine with it because you know you're where you need to be in that moment. And
You're
it's
surrounded by life. And
yes.
it's like recognizing that, like, because I feel like, especially within the United States, like, we live in a society where we're driven to be so individualistic that we isolate ourselves. Like, I
Mhm,
even noticed that within myself in like my day-to-day routine. Like, I
mhm.
almost just want to be alone and things like that. And I have to kind of like push myself to like, no, have conversations. Like, you're here to be in community with life. Like, you're not
Yes.
here to just turn yourself into this perfect identity of
Yep.
who you think you need to be. And I think like a lot of that,
Mm.
and like opening up, especially holding community spaces, and how uncomfortable and like how much trauma is held in just like, or comes up when people want to be in more community
Mm.
spaces, or the resistance that they feel in wanting to be outside more. They feel that call to like be with the trees, to lay on the earth, to feel the wind, and they don't bring themselves to go do that one thing that they are literally calling to, that they know is like for them, that they know that they need, that they know is going to be medicine. And it's
It's like
so fascinating.
the noise,
Yes.
right? It's like, right, an example could be, so I was in the sauna one day at the gym, and there
We
were
love the
these
gym.
ladies, and they were just like, they were talking, it was like, they're just talking, they were like, how are the kids, they seem to be catching up. I was just like chilling, I was drying off. There's another lady with headphones in, and she was like, excuse me, can you be quiet? I'm trying to meditate. And so then they were talking a little quieter, and she's like, "Can you please be quiet?" This lady was getting real triggered because the ladies weren't being absolutely silent for her to
Mhm.
meditate. And I thought it was really funny because what is the practice of meditating? You know, it is not to sit still in a quiet room and empty your mind. It is to be in harmony with the flow of your presence, of where
Mhm.
you are with the breath, with what is happening.
Yeah.
And so I think peace is kind of similar of, I keep thinking a lot of the times, and I thought that you needed to be in a field, with a babbling brook on a nice sunny day underneath a
Mhm.
tree to feel peace and cultivate it. But in
Mm.
reality, like, you need those trials to actually grow in peace. You need
Yeah.
those irksome moments where it's like, whoa, I'm about to throw hands, to be like, actually, I preserve my peace because it is priceless. Like, because
Mhm.
God is right there watching and saw what happened. So I don't need to justify how I feel or express it in a way that is just going to be very disruptive.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that I used to be that person, and I like when the noise was too much in meditation, and I
Oh.
realized that had a lot to do with my nervous system. Like, I
Mm.
was overstimulated, because at other times, like in past years, I would be like, it's okay, because you're in that space of allowing and just recognizing and observing. You're just
Mm.
there to observe. And if that empties your mind, wonderful. If you have an intention of whatever you do in that space, wonderful.
Mm.
But yeah, I noticed like for me it was that nervous system response, and I think even like the
Mm.
panic of being in those spaces, a lot of the time the nervous system response, which would, come back to the traumas that may not even be ours, but are more so our ancestors, everything
Mm.
that's coming from the past. And we're like, if we're not willing to not necessarily uproot them, but to see them with love and to make the choice to live in a different way, to just make a different choice, then it's gonna stay there. And I feel like that's like a lot of the times I was even mentioning earlier about the whole like identity, the individualistic, how we have all of these attachments from the past, even from ancestry, that people are holding on to and making their identity to the point that it becomes so dangerous that they cannot, it's not safe for them to change their mind. It is not safe for them to change a belief at all. And that is very dangerous.
That is what they believe, absolutely 100%. It is
Yeah.
not safe. I mean, I know I was telling you this with what's happening right now with Israel and Iran and the fact that we are here just chilling. And my parents love the Bible, and they are extremely interested in the whole idea of this inheritance and, the Jews being God's chosen people, and the Bible literally saying they're example for the rest of the world to understand how God interacts with people. Jesus was a Jew, and he was also God incarnate, and because he wasn't following the rules that society set up, they literally were like, we need to get rid of him because he's messing up the whole system we have going and like the power dynamic. Like from day one, before he was even born, they were trying to get rid of him. And again, they are just an example for how when source in a very concentrated form is on earth, how the mankind treats that. And I think, like you said, Aria, with those traumas that we carry around, being descendants of mankind, being of this earth in this time, our souls are from God. They're from source. We all have the opportunity to concentrate that energy and cultivate it and grow more of this energy, to tap more into the expression of light that God has given us to share with the world. But as soon as we share that light, and I feel like every time you do something and you know it's good and you know it's going to be powerful, roadblocks seem to pop up along the way. It's like, oh, yeah, this is so exciting. Next day, it's like, oh, that's broken, or that's not working the way it was, and I think that's just the way of the world, quite literally. Like it can't be that easy because you are here to get a little bit of grind in. It's school, it's a playground, and with the situation going on in the earth right now, it is a lesson for humanity.
Mm-hmm. I see, like, you're saying, like, when we have this much energy on the earth, like source energy on the earth, I think that's a lot of what's happening right now. Um, I mean, we've had the Schumann resonance has gone like
Mm.
off the charts so much this year already. We have solar flares that are literally making us go haywire. And I think that, I always I always like seeing the US as like the greatest experiment of the world. And so everything happening
Big old
here,
soup, melting
yeah,
pot.
this little matrix soup that they've
Yeah,
got going on that we're like a part of in some way. I think it's all like really fascinating, but it's also like very much showing like with the chaos and with everything arising, with all of the resources that we have and the amount of ability that we have to connect right now, is a really powerful sign that like we are in kind of that shakeup of having like a
yes,
lot of energy going on. And I think that it is important for us to not to take this opportunity, I think, for like every single human being on earth to recognize like this is where we get to make that choice to comply or not, to be
absolutely.
complacent or not, and I think that's like a really powerful thing that we need to remember, like while we're not the ones going and saying yes man and doing all these things, or we feel like we're victim to things. Like we need to remember that we do have that sense of
Power.
choice, how, yeah, that power,
We
and
have
how it is that
dominion
we are moving forward with this information
over
that
the
we're
earth.
experiencing and what we're feeling too,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And it's like all our ancestors that have been to war in the past did not have that choice. They did not
That's what they
necessarily have the
believe.
choice.
Li-
That's what that
I mean, that's no.
that's what we believe.
I gotta say, with the breaking the chains, because it is a
Mhm.
limiting belief.
It
Every single
is.
human
Yeah.
here is a child of the earth, and we are placed in different areas. Absolutely, but I believe that we were given equal energy.
Definitely.
It might.
Yeah.
It's at different times, in different levels,
Yeah,
at
different
different.
capacities and
Yes.
like different, like each of our paths are so different. And it's like our ancestors, like whatever was going on that they felt like they probably didn't have a choice, like we now
Yes.
have the capacity to start to move in those directions. And there is so much support that we can literally tap into by connecting to the internet. And it's pretty incredible.
So I want to tap into A, spiritual warfare, finding peace in spiritual warfare, and B, the chains that we carry that our ancestors have passed down that may, like, literally the words like may not have their souls resting in peace. I think that's coming up. We want to get that energy to be in peace because peace is so powerful. If the
Yeah.
reason we go to war is for peace, then peace is really powerful.
Hmm. I still think of war as very
It sounds
childish and
silly. It's
reckless.
very
It's
silly. It
honestly the
is.
silliest thing that creates so much destruction and like separation, and people just see it as like, oh, we go do this thing, but they don't think about the people that are on the ground actually receiving the destruction.
It
They're actually
is.
on the receiving end of what's
Like, it's
happening.
really like
Yeah.
twisting someone's arm and saying, I gotta do this or you're gonna fight me back. I remember in the auxiliary of the Air Force, and they said the reason why we need to have so many troops and, we need to have such a large arsenal of armed forces and whatnot is because we are the peacemakers and we need to be the strongest of all to kind of bully everyone else in submission because and
That's literally
I
it.
was like,
That's literally it.
interesting, interesting. Okay, noted. And that's the mindset though, right? Like this is
Mhm.
for it's like a parent that doesn't actually know what may be the best good saying this is for your own good, but they
Mhm.
haven't fully acknowledged that goodness
Mhm.
at the end, what the end goal really is. And maybe there's a better way, you know? Um,
Yeah. I
but
think like
yeah.
you're saying spiritual warfare. I'd love to like
Yes.
I would love to just like put out this question of like how have you been experiencing that in your life? I know that how I've seen it is going to be a lot of the time it's through our thoughts. It's
Mm.
through like a lot of intrusive thoughts. It's through um that redirection of our energy toward these things and these habits, um, and these situations that we know are not for us, that we know are not in alignment to our truth. The
Mm.
whole victimhood mentality of thinking that that the world is ending and nothing, like there's nothing we can do about it. I'm
Mm.
not going to be able to help by, baking bread or, making fun board games for the community. Like all of that is medicine. And I think that it's important for us to recognize like we didn't just come here. Yeah, we're here to play, but we're not just here to have a good time. Like we are also each have like this desire to offer something in some
Yeah.
way, to our lives, to the lives of our loved ones, our communities, to the earth, in whatever
Mm.
capacity that we do, in whatever way that that shows up. And I think like a lot of the time that spiritual warfare is like trying to redirect us from those
Mm.
original sparks that actually keep, you know, our hearts alive in that way, in this connectivity, in trust, in faith. So I'm curious, like, where
Ooh.
have you seen like and experienced that? Because I know I've been seeing a lot of people being like, ah, like
Spiritual
just
warfare.
feeling not even just like
Boom.
hopeless, but like
Yeah.
almost like knocked
It's
down.
lethargic, kind of like, I
Mm,
don't know. It's
lethargic.
just like a lazy kind of depression, hopeless.
Yeah. Almost like almost to the
Apathetic.
point of
Yeah.
apathetic. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Definitely that's a spectrum that that's when you're captive, right? You're like a POV, a POW, yeah, prisoner of war. You're caught because you're not going anywhere out of that energy.
What do you think?
But or you think. I love that you noted the medicine that the community brings. Like I saw a tick in Reel, and it was just this dude, and he was just like talking about pollinators impersonating a politician. And I thought it was really funny. And someone's like, "This is not funny. This is very serious. Do you know what's going on with the world?" And the author's response was just like, I can't really control all of that, but I can talk about, setting up the local native ecosystem for the pollinators and little guys. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
that's the medicine that is
Still
honestly
valid.
needed. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. But this is really interesting. Again, my mom, shout out my mom. She went to a writers conference and they talked about spiritual warfare, being a writer. This was like a Christian writers conference. And this was really interesting. So, okay, the exact verse is escaping me, but you can look it up. It's resist the devil and the devil will resist you. The and then the second verse is draw near to the Lord, and the Lord will draw near to you. So this lady was talking about the spiritual warfare. And this is like an example. And she was like, resist the devil, resist the devil, resist the devil, resist the devil, resist the devil. Everybody, make sure you resist the devil. Write that down. And then my mom was thinking to herself, but wait, what about the second part? Draw near to God. Like,
Mm.
you don't always got to be fighting. Sometimes just drop by drawing near to God, the devil will flee from you. So after the talk she went over and she waited to just like note like, hey, yeah, your talk was great. Just wanted to note that second part of draw near to God because the devil will flee from you. And so I think
Hmm.
the spiritual warfare really is sometimes we put ourselves in a situation where all we can do is resist. Like we've fallen into the pit
Yeah.
and it's like, I gotta defend myself all the time. I'm always high guard. Even if somebody tried to give you a hand to help you out of that pit, you probably knock it away because you're not thinking like you're just trying to you're just trying to defend yourself, right? You're just
Hmm.
trying to, your guard is up. You're just trying
Yeah.
to keep it real, but you don't feel like anybody's on your side. You feel like you
Yeah.
have to resist everything, like you can't actually receive.
Hmm.
And that's kind of, that's the I think that's a big part about the spiritual warfare is that we know that fear is a silly thing, but it is useful for some things. It does serve a purpose. I think
Hmm.
whatever you fear, you subconsciously go towards without realizing it until you're facing it. So
Because you're
actually, like,
holding it.
yes,
You're
that's
resonant to it at some level.
yes.
Yeah. There's a
And
connection there, even if we don't see it. Like our ancestors could have had that exact experience. So we have like those, yeah, anyway, we
it's like
have
a
those feelings.
string. It's like you're a little puppet,
Yes.
you know?
You're
And that's
connected to
why
those.
the Bible, it literally says multiple times, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Because what happens when you fear something, you draw near to it subconsciously. And so the spiritual war is kind of weird because I have mixed feelings on like what really is good. It's all like what the devil means for evil, God means for good. So like ultimately everything is going towards this goodness. But as a human, it's kind of hard and it is a struggle. And I think like from day one, it's always been a struggle from supposedly, Adam ate Adam and Eve ate the apple and we were just like, oh snap, no longer in paradise. Now we have to actually work. Now we actually have to like dig up the ground and the ground's going to be hard And because of sin, which sin literally means just to miss the mark, imagine the war that would go inside of your mind if you kept on missing the mark and you just want to get out of that hole and you just seem to be going deeper and deeper in it. And I think sometimes it's just about how we're looking at it.
Mhm.
What mark are you aiming for? Where are you trying to go?
Mhm.
For
Yeah.
me, spiritual warfare has been coming up a lot with like media, whenever someone's trying to set up anything in my mind that I'm like, wait a second, why do I even care about this? Like, I literally like this this does not affect a single soul in any significant way that I can sense in my radius. So why would I give it any energy? I know that I was in the trenches when it came to adult media and the spiritual warfare there because it's quite soul sucking, quite literally. And I
Mhm.
don't think a lot of people realize how detrimental the little things can be.
Mhm.
So, our
Yeah.
attention, the attention economy, we're seeing the spiritual warfare with where our money is going, conveniences, choosing to spend our time with one thing or another that we know is either going to take away our life or give us more life.
Mhm.
And so I've been seeing that in how people talk, how they're struggling. I've only gone to one art show and shared my art at one art show, and it was very chaotic. And of course, the theme was spiritual warfare. And it seems like everywhere I go, everyone is talking about it. People have shared the visions, the different
Mhm.
galactic beings that are showing up, the way that they're using prayer, they're using, the healing tools they've been given to combat it. And this one was really interesting. I'll end with the show was really interesting in that it was very chaotic. And I went with an internet friend that was practicing a lot of energy and he was open to going. So we both felt led to go to this small art show where the curator played a very out of tune violin in a holy shirt. Like there were literal holes in the shirt for whatever reason. Actually, all of his clothes had holes in it and he was wearing underpants, boxers. It was profound and very odd and felt very disturbing. And I know in the beginning we were talking about how peace can sometimes feel disturbing.
Mhm.
Well, my friend felt we had to walk out because he was like, I felt
Mhm.
attacked. I felt like weird
Aw.
stuff was going on. And I was like, understandable. I sense that like his lineage has gone through a lot and he is a fighter. And so at the single like, flag goes up, it's like defense is up, like
Mhm.
sword out, ready to like,
Yeah.
cut through whatever's there, which I appreciate it, but I felt like sometimes we mix up the cries, like the yells of pain. We think that they are there to inflict pain on us, which they could be if we're afraid of it, because that's how it works, right?
Yeah, then
But
we feel attacked.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But it's really like I'm seeing it more of like as a child. I'm seeing a lot of the Earth's pain more and humanity in the way that they're playing out the pain as this this being is really hurt and taking a step back from feeling like they're trying to come after me. They're just trying to express the pain and suffering that they're going through.
Mhm. Yeah, it's almost like this um the human psyche's fear of darkness,
Yeah.
the fear of like being even surrounded by something that could be, disturbing, when it is truth and still real, because we get very comfortable. Once again, we get to create our aesthetic, we get to create our identity and the people, we get to choose who we are around for the most part, and all of these things. And I think it does take like a level of understanding ourselves in the way that like how sensitive we are to certain energies and just understanding energy in general that really helps in that process of Yeah, allowing ourselves to be a little bit more comfortable with the uncomfortable, with that darkness, um, with the dark feminine that really just does need to express these angers and this injustice in these ways. Um, yeah, I feel like there's so much balancing that is happening, and a lot of the time I think when that happens is it kind of like I don't know, I think of like water, it's kind of like
Yes.
for it, you know,
Oh,
it's a little gonna be a little off here and there, and we may
yeah.
be feeling that internally as well. And yeah,
Kind of just take a
remembering to
breathe.
create space. Yeah, like even now it's just like create space just for the purpose of creating space to take a breath, because there is so much noise. There is so much noise.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think we mentioned it, how the noise seems to creep up when that light is there. But I definitely feel led to tap a little bit more into this piece, especially for ancestors. I'm going to take a moment to set up and tap into the energy of air because it's popping off. You can hear the sound.
Yeah. Yes. The air element. I think that it's been really beautiful because the wind here is so strong.
Oh my
And no matter when
goodness.
you go outside, like you feel it. You feel it. And um it is the one element that connects to every single
And water.
other of the elements. Yeah, it connects to it feeds it moves and it feeds the water, it moves and it feeds the land, the fires. So, yeah. And I think
Connecting.
it's a lot of the times in association like with our mental body and our thoughts and like our ability to cleanse, our ability to be guided, our ability to listen, our ability to express.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes, I'm sensing connecting with the air, connecting with the water, moving some of the foundation. Like using water as well for the blood ties. And oh man, okay. So the ancestors are there and they're kind of feeling like a little salty. Quite literally, like they want that element of earth to just be there a hint when it comes to why they do not feel like they can rest in peace at this time. And I think a lot of ancestors, they live on through us. And a reason why we feel humanity in general feels like war is necessary is because of that saltiness building up, and we're not moving it with the water,
Mm.
with the wind.
Or addressing it.
Mm.
Like with the water is like this representation of always coming back to the center, always coming back to the ocean, always in this cyclical motion. So if we're not actually reaching like the roots of these traumas and these
Mm.
ways of being, why we say certain things, why we have certain biases, I think it's so important that we recognize like how natural it is to have a bias, but also that we have the ability to go to those roots. We have the ability to meet them, and to meet the why behind them as well.
So, Aria, I want to ask if you'd like to do a little transmission. I'm being guided to share, like, you are the element of water, and I'm the element of air for the transmission.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's see what comes through. Hmm. Immediately I'm seeing like this butterfly shape.
Mm. Tata ru shu shu pamaraka eok u shu shu tam patash gu gui au shu
Bandi. Bandi. Bandiru. Guru 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 go gapapo go mama shua. Hangamburu guru go saya tomo ua shua. Hangambu shua saya tate alakia ashiroko. Shiroko 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 supua.
Kutumba tukudrush kutru ash trupa payandro pedatanen tukrushu trutungri pira bagdarashingri baba tutrushun rutukutututututu urushu turkuntrushungri bata kudrushu turkututututukuntruchu. Truk truk tukatamantrash aha turupiti andre putrushu la yurumat ekatosh drundru turushkundru baplek drundru berkunurjashndrum bara ale turutrushubya pokununchapa. Tukruti tukundrushum papayada yawa yukunu kuto ya urish uatai oiare amunayam ushung papa ikamiyan. Shikatarampa, we are here to bring peace to those at unease. Lat ayung ayaka usiania. Olukurusun rubikash. allowing the breath to flow with the body, the emotions, the mind. And drinking liquids to help with the flow at any time.
And finding that connection to your fingers, each one, wiggling them. We don't do this often. And
Mm.
same with our toes, grounding our connection to the healing that we hold and to our connection to all that is. Hmm. Back to your aliveness, back to your power. Hmm.
Yay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I would love to kind of close off with reflections and maybe sharing a practice that helps cultivate peace within us that maybe we've been doing personally or we've noticed. Yeah, the reflections on the transmission. Oh, oh, Um, the ancestors are happy and they feel honored. I think it will take them some time to really find a peace because for many it was like this is a mode of being, the unease, and it like changes the whole identity. So like that time is theirs. They have that infinite time now.
Hmm. Beautiful. Yeah, I know that I've been really tired. So I was just getting the message that I should kind of like sit back and let you take
Good.
the lead there. Um,
Yes. Drink
but
that
I know
water.
that, yeah, drink your water. Um, but I know that something that has been really, yeah, that always brings me the most peace is being with the earth and the elements. And I think it's really fascinating having, our
Mm.
zodiacs. We have like our big three or, our sun sign and noticing what element that is and kind of like really leaning into it. A sister was sharing with me the other day. She's an air sign. And so she felt more at home with herself the more that she was connecting to her breath, to the element of
Mm.
air within her life and the way that she does things. And I thought that was just such a beautiful reflection. And it made me reflect upon how I felt so much I feel so much at home with myself when I'm surrounded by, earth elementals and things like that, like the different plants and flowers and the trees and the mountains, like being able to just see them out the window or see the trees out the window, have it around is like such a beautiful grounding factor. So I think like that's when it comes to peace is like a really beautiful kind of opening into this remembrance of that home inside of us that can truly and does represent a sense of peace in our own way because it does look different for each one of us as we are a soup of
Multidimensional.
many different
Yeah.
things, yeah, many different ways of being, so we are very fluid in that way.
I love
But yeah.
that. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Now I'm thinking about it. And I'm thinking, okay, so one practice I love doing, especially when the moments are like very intense, is just to take 3 mindful breaths, right? Just like, okay, we just talked a lot. It was very high intensity, or I'm finishing a meeting or starting a meeting. I feel a little nervous. Just like taking that even one breath, it feels like, okay, we're connected again, tapping back into that peace. but bringing up the astrological side of it and tapping into our signs, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have I'm an Aquarius moon. So of course for my emotions, I do find writing and
Mm.
breathing and yeah, using that air element
That's
in
so fascinating. I
connection with
didn't
the
think of
emotion. Like as soon as you said, I
yeah.
was like, wow, this is really, and like you said, to see things of the earth element is like, of course, it's the best. It's so comforting, having that Taurus sun. I love, taking time to be with nature and like connect with things that
Mhm.
are beautiful or taste delicious, right? It's just like, yes, this is why
Mhm.
my body is here, Lord. Thank you. And and I was gonna joke and say I'm an air sign. I'm an Aries rising. But but even in that, I think that goes with I find a sense of peace when I'm doing things for that sense of identity and perhaps that rising being connected with what you like to do to find peace. So I'm definitely like curious how
Yes.
that resonates with you and what that looks like.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to mention for all of us, like that reminder that you do deserve to change the course of what you're doing to align with yourself. Like you deserve that 1000%, no matter what is going on in the world, what's going on around you. Like for you to be able to even show up as your purest being, like you get to create an environment for yourself, whether that's just within or without, that does bring you a sense of home and peace. Um, you deserve to do that. I
And you
think
can
because
do it
some people
more
are
than
like,
one time as well. Like it's
exactly.
not like you could
It's your lifestyle. It should,
yes.
the way your habits, the things that you do, we don't need to keep it very rigid and make it in a sense of control, but we can recognize that like, oh, let me just take a moment to do this one thing so that I can fully show up, so that I can fully be present for this, so that I
Absolutely.
can still exist as myself. And I love
Reclaim.
that mention of like the moon sign. So I'm a Leo moon, and I realize like a lot of people, I was always wondering like why I didn't associate this like water element when it came to my
Mm.
emotions. Like I really do feel
Mm.
it as like a more
Mm.
fiery experience.
Oh
Like when I'm
my.
connecting to my emotions, like I love to like light a candle. I love to like dance. There's always like an essence of fire that comes through, especially
Mm.
when I'm working with my ancestors. They like
Powerful.
build a fire and like it's so beautiful. It's yeah, it's
Oh.
very fascinating. And then I'm a Scorpio rising. So that's that
Ooh.
water and almost like this phoenixy energy, but it's always like reminding me to like in those moments that I need to like really like sink into
You
like
go
the
deep.
waters of the earth, like to just like literally just disappear for a little while. I almost think of like like those sensory deprivation tanks and like how like being in those types of like those like womb type spaces
Mm.
is kind of like how I see like that connection to the water. Um in my rising. So I don't know. It's something to explore, and I'm super curious, like how that resonates with anyone. But yeah, shout
Yes.
out to
Let
my
let us
sis for
shout.
sharing that insight of like how that has helped her really come home. And
I
I was
love
like,
it.
you know what? Me too.
Thank you.
Actually,
Yes. The dots are connecting,
yes.
and I feel like if you're watching this right now, like feel free to type your 3 or 1 and the elements that you're connecting to and how perhaps that's helping you process the energies that you are presented with and creating that sense and that presence of peace in your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Esther.
Thank you,
Thank you to
Anya.
everyone that tuned in to listen. And we send you so much love and, yeah, so much gratitude for being here at this time. And we hope that this just popped in little reminders of how important it is that you are yourself and here. And we love you.
Absolutely. And if you're seeing this in 2025, feel free to join us on the third Sunday of the month, because We do have those soul support groups for a reason, and we'd love to see you there. So take this as a sign if you watch the whole thing, you will enjoy the space.
Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. All right. Thank you.